Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. Today, well rather yesterday, I built this very vaporwavy style of build in the Lian O11 Evo, but I inverted it. We did like all black parts, all ROG, all of the coolness. But if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that button right now and turn on that little bell to receive notifications because we upload almost every single day. Been having a little bit of a break, as you can tell by my tan. But without further ado, let's see how this awesome thing came together. But I just want to say as well, didn't do any benchmarks, no testing, none of that. I just wanted to build some pure eye candy. So let's see how it came together. All right, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this build in the Lian Li O11 Evo and in black and inverted and all that stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the build because I did a couple things that I actually wouldn't recommend doing if you're not building a showpiece like this, because that's basically what this is. This is not a very practical PC, and by that I mean the GPU placement. Now, if you were to not invert this, it actually makes it a lot easier to plug the GPU in, but because of how this is inverted, plugging a display cable into the GPU means removing the screws from the GPU, plugging them in, then re-screwing it in, and it's just an absolute mess, but it looks really freaking cool. And that's basically why I wanted to build it like this. Speaking of, let's go into some of the parts that I use for this system. The CPU is the Intel Core i9-12900K. We put the 12900K on the Asus ROG STRIX Z690E gaming Wi-Fi. To cool the 12900K, we use the Asus ROG RYUJIN II 360 AIO. I didn't use the included fans obviously, but we'll come back to that. For RAM, we use 32 gigs of G.Skill Trident Z5, DDR5 memory. The GPU is the ROG Strix RTX 3080 12 gig, and it's the OC version. For fans, we used 7 Lian Li AL120 fans. There's 3 in the top for exhaust on the liquid cooler, there's 1 exhaust on the back, and there's 3 intakes on the bottom. All the lighting is configured in L-Connect and AuraSync. You can actually do a lot of these effects in AuraSync if you know what you're doing, and you can just play around with it. And you can get this to work if you just spend a little bit of time playing with the customization in AuraSync. You can do it, you don't need any other fancy software. Just do it that way. That's how I did it. As mentioned, we're using the Lian Li O11 Evo in black in the inverted layout with the upright GPU kit. However, it's kind of facing down because the ports are facing down because the system is inverted. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I would not recommend using the upright kit for this GPU in this orientation. It is a little bit big and it actually impedes your ability to be able to plug in display cables, because when I had to set this up and whatnot, I pulled the screws out for the GPU, let the GPU sit there, plug in the display cables, did all the configuration, and then plugged it all up. There is actually a way you could do it really nicely where you could run, well, if you had the right board, you could use a DisplayPort input on your motherboard and use Thunderbolt out or a type of DisplayPort pass-through as well. But yeah, I would recommend not doing it in this orientation with this GPU, just because it does make it a little bit tricky to do anything with it. But other than that, I actually think the inverted layout for the O11 Evo is a very, very cool idea. And I'm glad that they gave us this option, because for me personally, well, not so much now, but in the past, I used to like putting my PC on the other side. And with the O11 Evo in this layout, you can put the PC on the left-hand side of your desk and still see everything. Even though a lot of people don't like inverted layouts, I think they're quite cool. I'm a big fan of inverted PCs. We've done quite a few inverted cases in the past, and people's feedback is always really good with inverted stuff. So good on you, Lian Li. You did a good thing. Now, I did say that when we did our initial build with the O11 Evo in the white case that I was going to review this case, but it's been going on 2 months now since this case has launched, and there's plenty of other reviews out there. So I don't really think I've got that much more to add to that in terms of this case in particular, but I do want to do more builds in the O11 Evo, because the O11 Dynamic, I was just not a fan of that case whatsoever. But the Evo is actually more dynamic than the original Dynamic, because you can do so many more things with the case. All the brackets are removable, you can invert it, you can play around with the internal layout, and that's what Lian Li was good at back in the day, and it's good to see them have a bit of a return to form with the O11 Evo. It is actually a great case, and if you guys don't know, I've never really been a fan of the original O11, but yeah, this is much, much better, and something that I would actually consider using for a personal rig. Except for one thing, and this is one thing I always say about these O11 cases. Yeah, they're a nice size, but they're very wide. They take up a lot of desk space. I don't like that. I like really narrow cases. That's just kind of my jam. It's kind of the reason why I use the cases that I use for my own personal rig. So yeah, although I would consider it, that's the one thing that lets this down for me, is the width of the case. Other than that, I had fun building this. I actually took my time with this one more than usual. Like, I built it yesterday. You could probably see some of the sections of the video where I'm building and my hair is way longer because I gave myself a haircut this morning. I thought that some people might actually pick up on that. I thought it was funny just to mention. Anyways, guys, if you want to know what all the parts are in this build, I'll put a PC part picker list down below in the description so you can peruse that list and see how much the whole system would cost. Although you guys know about pricing at the moment. And if you like the music you heard here, you can click that join button to get access to all of the music, well, most of it. I'm still working on getting all of it up on YouTube for members. Also, make sure you subscribe so you can see awesome videos like this one, although I'm calling it awesome, but it might not actually be awesome. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak, we seek, and yeah, it feels good to be a bit more rejuvenated and take our time with videos. That's one thing that we haven't been doing as much in the past year or so, is actually taking time to make the videos that we want to make. And this is just a video that I've been wanting to make. I wanted to go all ROG. I wanted to do that Vaporwave theme. Yeah, I just like doing stuff like this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.